Today is May 16th. The Yankees and the Mets are playing, so we invited special guest Chris Distefano to preview the series. All right, so a little impromptu, different episode. Jake's not here. Comedian Chris Distefano is going to join me. He's got a show coming up, Madison Square Garden. That's pretty awesome. This is some deep ball talk, X's and O's, stats. So, if that's not what you're looking for, give it a shot, and I think you might enjoy it. I did send a transcript to everything Chris said to Jake, and he said that's everything I would have said when discussing how he would have previewed the Yankees-Mets series. So, I think we're all set there. Let's throw it to Chris. With Yankees fan, Mets fan, hybrid fan, I actually need an update. Chris Distefano, we got Yankees Mets coming up. Are you torn, or are you a Mets fan now?
I am. Listen, first of all, the Pope is American, so I have Jesus Christ on my side. So I really have no fear. But I would say right now in my body, I am a Mets fan. When it comes Mets versus Yankees, I just have to go with the Mets as of late. But I'm New York first. The only, and that's how I've always been. I've always been city first, besides the Brooklyn Nets, just because I just feel like, you're either a child or someone that doesn't know anything about sports if you're a fan of the Brooklyn Nets. If you're someone over the age of 30 and you're a fan of the Brooklyn Nets and you're not from New Jersey, I don't trust you, and I actually think that you should be deported or alerted to the FBI that there's terrorist activity.
And Pope is not rooting for you. If you're not you, these people that you're speaking of.
Yes, the Pope is not rooting for you if you're over 30-year-old male and you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, you don't know sports. But for me, this Yankees and Mets Subway Series, it's tough because I was, my father's from the Bronx, born and raised in Queens, and then I became good friends with the family that the Cohen family who owns the Mets, and they treated me with such kindness and such respect, and truly the nicest people that I've met that are billionaires. And the Yankees just, don't treat me that way. The Yankees I had a great relationship with them. And then they just, I know, by the way, I know the Yankees could care less if I'm a fan or not, but it's just when it gets personal, it's like, oh, one team is treating me and my family with kindness and respect, and the other team is yelling at my stepson for touching the dirt. So it's just, when people, sometimes my friends will yell at me about being a traitor and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, if you were in my shoes and the owner of one team was really nice to you and your family and the other team was not being nice to you, you do the same as me. So why don't you just shut up and keep putting the bags on the plane because you work for JetBlue and you're drunk right now.
The guy who yelled at you, the security guy who yelled at you.
Yeah.
Tall, really tall guy.
Tall, real idiot at Yankee Stadium, just a real dummy. And I said on the Rich Eisen show that I know he's the reason Juan Soto signed with the Mets. And he's just that's a guy that I don't know what religion he is, but I know the Pope would like to have a word with him. I know Pope Leo.
They might agree on some stuff. That guy, he comes at you like I think we're talking about the same guy. He's a security guard like through and through. Like he's so tall that probably when he was 20, he was a bouncer, and that's just the only life he's known is yelling at people.
Yes, and but in the inside, he's just an insecure little baby. And he's the kind of guy that I know if he ever got a divorce from his wife, he would ask for alimony payments from his wife. And I just don't respect guys that do that.
Can't.
No.
Mets also, I don't know if they still have it, but they have a Puerto Rico thing. They were, they had Baez and Lindor that season. If you went to a Mets game, there were just Puerto Rican flags everywhere. It kind of felt like World Baseball Classic more than MLB. Is that
right?
That's still got the Yankees, they're Venezuelan and Dominican. They don't do Puerto Ricans.
Yes, and as if guys don't know, I have a Puerto Rican family. So with all the Puerto Rican flags at Citi Field, every time I come home, it feels like a Mets game. So I feel like it's just a little bit more hometown for me. I feel a little bit closer to home when I bring my family even to the Mets games, because as you said, the players are Puerto Rican. Lindor, Steve Cohen's wife, Alex, Puerto Rican. There's a Puerto Rican connection. and City Field allows you to drink coquito in the seats, and Yankee Stadium doesn't.
They don't?
They probably don't. I've just made that up, but they probably wouldn't, because that stupid security guard is too tall.
He's really tall. I don't think people are getting it. He's like 6'8". He's like Judge's height.
He's a dummy, and he yelled at my stepson, and I just hate him, and I really hate him, and I obviously don't want him to die or anything like that, but I'd like him to just kind of get close, like just have a scare. I'd like him to have a near-death experience and just change his life, and then maybe that would help me one day be able to root for the Yankees again. I root for the Yankees when they're not playing the Mets, because again, New York first. Okay, I never forgot. Some people forgot here. I never forgot. I am always at a war with Bin Laden. Okay, and so New York. So I root for New York, but I don't. When the Yankees Mets face to face here, I just gotta go with the Mets now.
Now, is that all sports? Like, you root Jets too?
Yes, I would. I'm a New York Giants fan.
Okay.
Here's unwavering. My unwavering fandom is New York Giants, New York Football Giants, and the New York Knicks. Okay, those again. You'll never get me to be a Nets fan. You'll never get me to be a Jets fan. You'll never really get me you'll never really be able to get me to be a hater on those teams, because again, New York first. To be honest with you, this is what a patriot I am. I'm actually original 13 colonies first and foremost. Okay, so I will root for the 13 colonies before I root for anybody who's from Dallas or California. It's like, you're not my country. This is the original 13 colonies. I go by the founding fathers' plan. So that also includes, even though sometimes I know there's a rivalry, I will not root for Boston sports franchises when they're facing the Knicks. Like, I want the Knicks to win by 1,000 tonight against the Celtics. But if it became Boston versus, Minnesota in the finals, I will root for Boston, because 13 colonies takes precedent.
I agree with you. I've always done Northeast because I moved away from the Northeast, and I just felt like I like people from the Northeast more. But how south does the 13 colonies go? Because
we go to Georgia.
Okay.
That's it. We're going from New Hampshire to Georgia.
Okay.
Okay. So Florida doesn't count.
Florida doesn't count. They have a different vibe.
That's the colonial Spanish Empire to me. So I have nothing. That's the colonial Spanish Empire.
Basically not America.
Yeah. Pittsburgh and these places, like the extreme west of Ohio Valley, that's the Native American territories. So it depends on what part of history we're talking about. Certain tribes fought with the Patriots. Certain tribes fought with the Redcoats. So you have to get very specific on that. California and those teams, it's like, dude, that was another planet during colonial America. So I don't even consider them. That can go. Mexico can take California and Texas back. That's fine by me. I'm more like original 13. New Hampshire to Georgia is where we live.
All right, I like that. What about when it comes to sports teams like New York versus 13 colonies? Because if I had your line of thinking, a history guy, I'd have you rooting for Philly before you root for Buffalo. But Buffalo's New York and Philly's not.
Right. So that's a good point. So let me clarify. When I say I root for New York teams, I mean the tri-state area. So that includes New York, Northern New Jersey, and Connecticut.
Yeah.
Buffalo is in the state of New York, but not New York. That's Canada. That's French Canadian territory. So that is actually the French colonial empire is Buffalo.
I had a sense that that was not falling into the New York, which it shouldn't.
Yeah.
It shouldn't.
Right.
Long Island Ducks. How many sports do you go? MLS? Would you go?
I'll do it all the way down. I do it in tennis. I'm a John McEnroe fan. I just go all the way down the line.
I like doing solo sports, non-team sports, but wherever they're from. I guess people do that for real.
Yeah, even politically, elections. I'm like, where's this person from? I'm just going to vote for them, but they're from the 13 colonies. I'm not voting for some president who's not from the 13 colonies, because it's like, what are you talking about?
Delaware is in the 13 colonies.
Delaware's in the 13 colonies.
But you don't need to waste any energy voting for anything from Delaware. They don't have anything.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that was your claim to fame as a state, is you're the first one to sign the Constitution. I'm like, great. That's awesome.
In a way, it might mean they were incredibly bored and were like,
seriously,
what you guys say? Sure, I'm good.
Seriously. I mean, what do you want? That's why people are like, we're mad at Hunter Biden with smoking crack. I'm like, he's from Delaware. What do you want that guy to do? He's on his laptop smoking crack. He's from Delaware.
Have you invested in a Soto jersey that's split yet? You know, because you enjoyed him. Your Yankee side enjoyed him last year. Your Met side is waiting to enjoy him this year. You could get like a double jersey.
No, I haven't done that yet, but I did go to Citi Field last week, and my daughter wanted a Juan Soto City Connect jersey, and it was $135. So I would like a meeting with the Mets about that price.
They got like the tail on them. They're very real jerseys.
Yes.
Very expensive. Are you gonna are you going to any of these games, or no? You don't go to Yankee Stadium anymore.
Well, no, I would go to Yankee Stadium. I would go. It's just my daughter's birthday this weekend, so instead we're going indoor skydiving. So that's, but I'll watch them on my phone.
Is there any jumping involved, or do you just step out onto a fan cylinder?
Exactly. You just step out onto a fan and you just get blown up in a tube.
Have you done that before?
I have not done that before, but I'm excited to do it. I'm going to tandem do it with my daughter.
Oh, so you both be holding hands in like that ascending to heaven motion.
Exactly. And then I'll throw up and it'll be great. It'll be a good family fun photo.
I am kind of jealous that you're doing that. But the building that they have those in, there's one in New Jersey by me. It's just like a cylinder, like the back of a barn. And I'm like, I think you should have built around it so it looks like there's a little more going on.
Yeah. This is listen, this is probably going to be one of those things where I sit in traffic for 2 hours going to this party and then I chicken out and don't do it anyway.
Yeah. You just see the kids doing it. You're like, all right, it looks like
yeah.
Fun. I got my third on the way. Any advice for me?
Wow. You got your third kid on the way.
Yeah.
So I would say, how old are the other two?
Too young to be having a third. 3 and 1.5.
Wow. So you're in an active war zone right now.
Yeah.
You're in an active war zone. So what I would do is send as many people you can your exact latitude, longitudinal coordinates so they know where you are at all time. And we're gonna stage a pickup for you because it's about to hit the fan. What I will tell you is this. I also have 3 kids. It's a beautiful thing. They're older. I have 3-year-old and 9-year-old, just about to be 10 and 14-year-old. What I'll say is if you have 2, and I'm sure you've heard this already, if you have 2, it's like having 20. 3 is just like, what's one more kid? You're going to be fine. Just accept that for a little while, things are going to get difficult. You're probably going to fight with your wife a little bit more. It's not a problem with you two. It's just these things are very, very stressful to have multiple kids, and you only understand it if you're going through it. And things are going to be okay. Liquor is your friend for the next few years. You take, don't worry about, I'm an alcoholic, I have a fatty liver. Just drink. Just have a freaking drink at the end of the night, especially when these kids are under 5. You're going to have 3 kids under 5. It's kind of insane. I'm going to be honest with you right now. I'd rather be in the front lines on the Gaza Strip right now than have 3 kids under 5. So you're a soldier, and I salute you. And as a New Jersey, as a fellow colonial, just know the Continental Army thanks you for your service. There's nothing we can really do, but just, pray to Pope Leo.
He's a White Sox fan, so I have my struggles with what he can bring to the table.
How funny is that we elected the Pope, who's a fan of the worst team in MLB history.
In history.
Yeah.
And the Cubs were trying to claim the Pope, and he was like, nah, I'm a White Sox fan, which is crazy because many aren't speaking up.
Right. Pope said he's a fan of is he a Bears fan? I guess he's a Bears fan, right?
Probably. I don't know. The picture of him at the White Sox, it was the World Series. He could have just watched that one season.
Yeah, dude. And he could flip-flop. He could flip-flop and be a fan of one team one year, another team. I could be the Pope. Maybe I'm the Pope.
He's probably got a lot of conviction. It's probably one of the necessary things of the job. Well, I guess I was going to try and ask a Yankees-Mets question. Have you been going to a lot of Mets games?
No, I've went to a few Mets games this year, but because of the Knicks, and how important the Knicks are right now, and we've kind of like I almost can't get into one sport until the basketball's over.
Yeah,
it's tough to get into the first quarter of the MLB season when your favorite basketball team is in the thick of the playoffs.
Yeah, because you have the juices flowing. And then you go watch a regular season, you're like, well, this doesn't happen for me.
It just doesn't hit the same. Like When Mets were in the playoffs last year, it was tough to get into the beginnings of the NBA season. So,
do you watch the games? Do you yell at the TV, or are you just a very like passive? Whatever happens. I'm enjoying the entertainment.
I don't typically yell at the TV. I'm typically because I'm usually watching it on my phone because my kids are watching whatever they want on TV because, as you'll see, you have no life
I'm going
and no
through a big
rights.
Gabby's Dollhouse phase. I don't know if you ever got
Are you
that
kidding
one.
me? That's all 100%. That's all I'm going to have to get a tattoo of Gabby's Dollhouse on my calves. And so
The
I don't
real
really
girl or the cartoon?
I'll get the real girl on there with no explanation.
Okay.
And so I don't really yell at the phone too much. My life is usually watching the first half of the game and then falling asleep with my phone on my chest and popcorn in my belly button.
Let's call that a good night. Yeah. And the Mets wake up and the Mets win.
That's called being a father.
If Cohen sells the team, you're a Yankees fan.
If Cohen sells the team, yes. If Cohen sells the team, well, we'll see how the new owner, unless the new owner is Gabby from Gabby's Dollhouse, I'll probably be a Yankees fan.
Okay. What if Cohen buys what if the Cohen family buy the Nets?
If they buy the Brooklyn Nets, no, because it's the unwavering support of the New York Knicks.
Okay.
The only time I would have to really think, I'd be like, is if they bought another team from the 13 colonies. Like it would be if they were like, if they bought the Red Sox, I'd be like, this is interesting now. This is very interesting now. Who do I pick?
Mm-hmm.
My father, my actual father, Tampa Tony, who's a huge New York Yankees fan who has pinstripes running through his blood because he's on dialysis, or do I pick Steve Cohen, family of a billionaire, who's now bought the rival of my father? And that would be tough. It would be very, very tough for me, but I would ultimately, within a few minutes decide to go with the billionaire.
Yeah, your dad would, I think, take that very personal, almost like a stepdad situation. Like his true intention is just buying your loyalty.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, Dad, would you like your mortgage paid off at your retirement community home in Tampa? Steve can do that with a booger.
That's how they got Soto.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a history question.
Do it.
Because you're a history guy. But we've talked around it that I forgot it. I
Great.
don't know. What's your favorite war? Revolutionary or civil?
I would say Revolutionary War, number one. I definitely believe that I'm reincarnated. I believe that I lived during revolutionary times, and I was probably a woman that was killed by cannon fodder, helping her husband on the battlefield. That's what I believe.
We're like a line prep for like the food in place that was like chummy with people, but not really involved.
Exactly. I was either the wife and I was killed by cannon fodder on the battlefield, or I was one of the drummer guys that was holding the flag and I was shot with a stray musket bullet right to the head.
Only guy holding the target.
Right. So, that's probably my favorite time period and what I like to do, and I actually took a walking tour around New York City yesterday, learning all about the Dutch colonial history of New York City. I was walking around like somebody's gay aunt just on one of these tours.
I did a tour of Greenwich Village, all the authors and musicians there, and it was cool, but I think I would have rathered the graves and stuff. Like that whole place is a grave. Where's Greenwich Village? What's the square there? Why am I blanking on that? The park where Jimi Hendrix, the Arch, Washington Square.
Oh, Washington Square Park, yeah.
Yeah. Whole thing's a grave, mass burial ground. That's the first thing they told us on the tour that I took. I was like,
it's called fentanyl.
It's crazy. I think it was something different.
Yeah.
I was a history major in between Revolutionary War and civil, that time period.
Wow. So like War of 1812, things like that.
Yeah, it was basically like I didn't care about that one. But yes, that fit in. I liked westward expansion more. Like Revolutionary War, westward expansion, and then Civil War. That's what I majored in that time.
You were a frontiersman.
Little bit, yeah.
Oh, hold on. Jesus, my mom's calling me. All right, here we go.
Does she
Mom,
have any
stop call-
care about your fandom?
yeah. Can you call my mom? My mom doesn't care. No, she doesn't care. She would probably just root against whoever my father's rooting for because they've been divorced for 38 years.
And that's where your whole situation got you. Now you're rooting for both.
Exactly. I don't know who to choose. That's why at the end of the day, I choose Jesus Christ himself. I choose Pope Leo.
I think you can choose one and you're covered. You don't have, that's a little redundant.
Exactly, dude. That's how I feel. That's what it is.
Do you have a homer pick for this weekend? You choose someone you guarantee a homer?
I guarantee a homer from Aaron Judge.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you'd go Alonso.
No, I guarantee a homer from Aaron Judge because they're playing in Yankee Stadium. You know, he hits bombs there. I guarantee a homer from Aaron Judge.
I'm going to go Grisham because he's the Soto replacement.
Right.
Or you do Ben Rice. He wears Soto's number. The memes, they'll be having a lot of fun with that, with those two options.
Right. Are you going to the games?
I might go Sunday.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But
well, I'll look for you on my phone.
That's great. I'll wave a couple times.
Yeah. It's great.
Swing and miss. I'll throw some waves up there.
Yeah.
All right. Anything we got to promote? Pope Leo, he got his love.
Why don't you? I have a big show in New York City Theater at Madison Square Garden, September 11th. No terrorists allowed, just for that day. So
that's their policy or yours?
That's my policy for that show that day.
Okay.
So that we got that, and then go to chrisdcomedy.com for all my tickets. I'm up and down the 13 colonies, baby. Got a show in Washington D.C. at the end of May.
Should just border the 13.
Yeah.
Tease them a little, but nope.
Yeah.
Do you know there's a town in Ohio that's the whole county in Ohio that's the same as Connecticut? That's a fun history tidbit. Yeah, it's like the same exact towns. Everyone in Connecticut got land in Ohio in some deal. And there's like a Linden, Connecticut, Linden, Ohio, and all the other towns are named the same. Very uncreative people.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that seems like one of those things that's just pointless. But, you know, Ohio is also one of those states, you know, that I love. Shout out Cleveland, shout out Columbus. I will be performing there. But overall, Ohio is just one of those things where it's like, you know, it's just a state. People, it's the Delaware of the Midwest.
Ooh. Well, I agree, because one of the Kentucky's, Tennessee's, but I don't even know what region they belong to. But Kentucky, I never think about. But is that even Midwest?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good point. I don't even know if that was correct by saying Ohio is the Midwest. I don't know where it is.
It definitely is the Midwest. But Kentucky might claim the South, but they're not.
They're really not. No.
That's like Maryland. You ever been to Maryland? They all think they're from the South.
They're not, though. They fought with the Union side.
Yeah, and I don't even think they're south of the line. I went to a college party at Maryland when I was forever ago. They were watching Tucker Carlson. I was like, we're like 19 years old and we're at a college. Why are we watching this? I had to be silent. And then they all thought they were from the South. I was like, this is not the South.
Stupid.
Yeah. All right. Thanks,
all
man.
All right, babies. Thank you, guys.
Preview. See ya.
Appreciate it, man. Bye-bye.
See you, man.
Thanks.
There you have it. Everything you need to know about the Mets and Yankees series. And some stuff I had prep that I didn't get to say was Rodon should just throw fastballs to Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso was awesome and he was crushing. He's having a great season. Last 6 games been very tough for Pete Alonso. And what's the biggest difference that I found? Less sinkers, more fastballs. Just more 4-seam fastballs with velo. He hasn't been hitting those. Sinkers or sliders from lefties, been crushing those. So Rodon should be careful. Juan Soto's swing is much different. It is slower by 2 miles per hour, and it is shorter by 3 inches or something, which it sounds marginal to you if you don't know those numbers, but that is the 3rd biggest drop in exit velo and the 7th biggest drop in swing length. So it really is a wildly different swing. And then all the Mets are being coached to have shorter, slower swings. They're a ball and play team and not strikeout team. All the Yankees, all the Mets pitchers are guys that all of the Mets pitchers, if you don't know, are names where if they have a good game against the Yankees, you're going to say, we made this guy look like Cy Young, but they're all pitching really, really well and having good seasons. But if you just, your memories of Tyler, McGill, Griffin Canning, and David Peterson aren't of that feeling, but that's what they've been providing opponents this year. And I agree with Chris. Judge will homer, and that's obvious. See ya. Enjoy the series. Bye.
Go Yankees.
Bam.